Hello, Cleveland. This is the DawgLand podcast. This is a post-game episode for the Browns-Chargers game, and unfortunately, we did not get a win. We're not starting 4-1. We're starting 3-2. The Browns blew this one in the end, lost 47-42. I am Jackson McCurry, and joining me tonight on the post-game episode is none other than DawgLand contributor Katelin Marshall. Katelin, I'd ask you how you are, but I feel like I know how you are right now, but how are you?
I'm very angry right now.
Oh,
I'm fuming.
I feel like that is how all, if not the majority of Browns fans are feeling right now about this one. God, I don't know where to start, but then again, I did make notes. So I think we're going to start with, and I think you agree with this, Kay. This was the turning point of the game. There's about 9 minutes left in the game. Chargers have the ball. Justin Herbert throws one deep for Mike Williams. Blatant pass interference on him. They call it on Grant Delpit, and Delpit was about 5 yards over to the left side. It was AJ Green who was in for Denzel Ward defending Williams, and they were both tugging at each other, but you watch it in slow motion, Kay, and we've seen it numerous times since the game. Mike Williams is in front of AJ Green with a fistful of his jersey, and the refs call pass interference, and it is a major turning point in this game. Ends up being a 33-yard penalty, puts the Chargers in great position, and they ultimately score on an Austin Eckler touchdown. But I feel like at this point, this was the turning point of the game because the Browns are up a touchdown at that point, and you felt like they had it, even though the defense was struggling, which we'll definitely get to as well. But the odds quickly shifted to the Chargers, I think, after this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is laugh right now because I'm just so angry about that play and just the series of events that happened. The Browns are winning at that point. I believe they're up a touchdown.
Yes.
And it's 4th and 4. I believe the Chargers had it at their own 40-ish yard line. If they don't convert, the Browns 10 yards, they're in field goal range, number one. And if they, have a field goal or whatever, it's a 2-possession game with less than 8 minutes to go.
Yes.
The fact that was called, I'm honestly just beside myself, when that happened. Like you said, he has a fistful of jersey of AJ Green. And I think Trent Green even said it on the broadcast was, if he wasn't holding him, he would actually maybe even made the catch.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't understand with these refs, man. It's the constant inconsistencies, and it's throughout all of sports. But you pride yourself on being, the NFL, the gold standard, right? Yet you have these blatant errors week after week that drastically change momentum, drastically change everything about these games. And I'm just so angry. And the worst part was the guy who threw the flag, he's looking at the play. He's in front of what's at of the play. He's not the guy, the referee behind him where he doesn't see the jersey pull. He's in front of him. He sees the jersey. It's a good play. They're both pulling at each other. That's an easy no call. And I am just beside myself when it comes to that play, because then, it's a turnover on downs. The Browns have the ball at the 40, 50
41,
line, whatever.
Yeah.
41. Oh my God. You're telling me, because what was it? The next drive is when Chubb had his the crazy long run. And it's just my God, dude. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Week after week, it's the same goddamn thing with these refs.
Yeah, and it's for the people that are man, they're against Cleveland. I mean, yeah, we feel like as Browns fans that the refs are against us, but it happens all across the league. We only see it because it's happening to the Browns, but it happens all across the league. It's not that the refs have it against the Browns. Like, I know that's been the theory for since 99, since the team came back. Anytime there's a blatant call against us, they just think, oh, the league's against us or the refs are against us. I don't think that's it. It's just inconsistency, like you say, across the board. It's not just in football, it's in every sport. Like, the umpires in baseball make bad calls. The NBA refs do it. The NFL refs do it. It's just, it drastically affects the outcomes of games. It not only affects the teams and not only affects the way the fans feel, but even the gamblers that are betting on these games that have no ties to either fan base or to either team. It's affecting them because money's on the line. So like, these refs need to get better with these calls. And that's like, that was the dramatic point in the game. And obviously, you know, San Diego or Los Angeles ties it. We take the lead. Then they come back and tie the game up themselves. Well, they tried to tie it. And then we get down to the end of the game. Okay. The Browns have the ball twice offensively. And I think it was like the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, 3 minutes of the game. And this is where I think another big thing, Kevin Stefanski late in the game, again, bad offensive drives. The first one, we get the ball back with 3:08 to go. The first drive, Hunt runs 1 yard gain. The second play, second down and 9, Mayfield steps back, incomplete pass to Higgins. Then on 3rd and 9 with 2:55 to go, they run it. And now Kevin Stefanski has said post-game, because we're in the middle of recording while post-game interviews are going on, he says that he ran the ball because there was backup tackles. We're back up in the Chargers' own. We're back up on our own 15-yard line. He didn't want something bad to happen in that situation. Well, first of all, I don't think you can coach in fear. I know regardless if we have two backup tackles, agree. You don't run that. You don't run a play like that. You're trying to potentially put the game away because the Browns are up by 1 because the Chargers kicker missed an extra point. You try to put the game away. You feel if it makes you look like you're in fear while you're a head coach, and it also makes it look like you don't trust your quarterback in that situation, who was having a pretty good game today, I would say. Take your thoughts on the first drive before we go to the final drive.
Yeah. So it's playing, it's playing not to win, it's playing
conservative. You're playing conservative.
It's playing not to lose.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is you got to think, okay, they make that extra point, it's a tie game. Well, you're not going to run. You're not going to have those types of play calling and give the ball back to the Chargers if it's a tie game. Why would you do it when it's a 1-point game, when you haven't stopped them the entire second half? I don't understand that play calling. And if you're going to run it on first down, why is it Nick Chubb in? Like,
exactly.
I don't understand he broke the 52-yard run.
He averaged 7.7 yards a carry today. And
why is Nick Chubb in?
And this isn't a slight at Kareem Hunt because he averaged 5 yards a carry, but Nick Chubb's been Mr. Fourth Quarter for like the last 2 years, especially going back to the beginning of last season. He's averaging like 7 yards a carry in the fourth quarter this year. Yeah, it's down a little bit from his 10, but I mean, I know, and people are saying that Nick Chubb's lost a step. No, they're just utilizing both backs. But, fourth quarter, I've called him the closer. I've called him our Mariano Rivera. Why isn't Nick Chubb in the game? Like, that just baffles me that he was out. And, like, I think he could have put this game away had he been in.
Just like if you're inside the 5, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
It's that's okay. That's totally fine. But why isn't your best player out there? And it's probably because, what the amount of times they run the ball versus pass the ball when Nick Chubb's in, it's probably heavily favors running. But that was your game plan the entire game to begin with. Like, which is fine. It worked. But when you know that you're running, run with Nick Chubb. Like, hello, I just don't understand that. And and then the second play where Higgins gets tangled up with a defender. I mean, that's where I just get annoyed because it's just like, okay, if you're calling every little thing that impedes allegedly impedes a wide receiver, okay, where's the holding on that, right? And then on third down, like 3rd and 10, you can't just run the ball. No, you can't just, unless you're going to go for it on 4th down.
Right.
Because at that point, you're banking on them probably going to score anyway. So why not just go for it? If you're going to run, go for it on 4th down, go for it on 4th and 6, 4th and 7. Like, I don't understand. I mean, Brandon Staley did that the entire game. They were 4 for 4 on 4th down. You could not stop them on 4th down. Obviously, like the one, penalty, withstanding, right? But you couldn't stop them on 4th down. Like, be aggressive. Win the game.
Yeah, you're aggressive the whole game. You go for it on 4th down constantly inside the 30, which you said that going back to training camp, but people seem to forget it and then complain when we don't settle for 3. And then you're not more aggressive in a close game and trying to put the game away. You get more conservative. Like, I don't understand the approach. And obviously Coach Stefanski said in the post game, he made mistakes and he owns it and he's going to get better. Well, hopefully he gets better. And hopefully if you're going to be aggressive for 80% of the game, be aggressive 100% of the game.
When it really counts, the money time, continue that mindset. Hello?
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand it. Like, if you're planning on going for it on 4th down, or just think we got to get a 1st down. Okay. By any means necessary. You haven't stopped them. So on 1st down, okay, you run. Maybe 2nd down, maybe you run again. Maybe you have a screen pass or something like that. Like, I don't understand. And then, like I said, on 3rd down, when you're going to run and then you just punt the ball away and, Jamie Gilliam, oh my God, dude, he is, oh my goodness.
They need a new punter. They need a new punter.
Yeah. I don't know if they're just like, hey, hang time, but it's bad. You're losing the field position game week after week now. And it's very concerning. And maybe in hindsight this is a good thing, right? It's a true like self-reflection of like, we were riding high after a 3-game winning streak, and now it's just like, no, Kevin Stefanski isn't this unflappable perfect head coach, right? Like, he does have some flaws and that he needs to like get better with. Same thing with the defense. Like, we had 2 straight games of like a dominant defense. And I understand we had a ton of injuries. I completely understand that. But the miscommunication is the same type of miscommunication that we had all of last year. That's on the coach. I'm sorry. That's on your defensive coordinator. Like,
absolutely.
I'm fucking tired of this. I'm so tired of it. You had Mike Williams running wide open twice on the same play. They did it twice. And they got the same result. What are you doing? I just don't understand it.
No, I don't either. But let's go back to the final drive before we get into the other parts of the game. So the Chargers score, which they tried not to, but I mean,
that was the smartest play of the game.
It was the smartest
pushing
play
them
of the
into
game.
the end zone
because
you knew you couldn't get a stop.
Right, because Eckler, I think, was going to try to like hunch down and like. I think it was John Johnson. They just pushed him in the end zone. They said, no, we want the ball back. We trust our quarterback in the offense. We're making you guys score. So it's 47-42. They missed the extra point, and it was a great call by the officials by going up and correcting it quickly. So the Browns get the ball back. First of all, clock management needs to be so much better in this situation because they did little dump off passes. Which, I mean, if this is what was open, you have to take what you can get, but they run 3 plays, only get 11 yards and killed 50 seconds of clock in the process. That's poor clock management by not only Stefanski, but Baker as well. Granted, they didn't have any timeouts left. Baker then gets Njoku 10 yards. They're at the Cleveland 46, 26 seconds to go. And then you see a deep pass to Peoples-Jones. Was in double coverage, but I mean, Baker obviously trusts Peoples-Jones in that situation, just was slightly overthrown. The second play, which Baker has now said it was intended for Higgins. He says there was 2 pass interference calls that the referees missed, and he even says it. We'd like the same calls as the Chargers got. I think that's completely fair. I saw pass interference as well. Mm-hmm. And then the last play, Baker drops back, then he steps up and throws a Hail Mary. Pass interference right there on Njoku. And then
he tackled him.
Yeah.
He tackled him
he
at the 2-yard sideline.
Right. Took his knees out. And then, Higgins, if Higgins
turns around and looks up.
Well, if he turns around, looks up, or he jumps over Njoku, who knows? There could have been a touchdown there. Yep. But just, I don't know if I blame play calling on that. I just think clock management could have been so much better on that final drive, because they wasted so much time on the clock. And who knows, we could have maybe gotten even closer to where we didn't have to throw a Hail Mary. But I don't even blame play calling on that one, Kay. I blame more clock management, because they had a minute and a half. And if they could have been a little bit better in the clock management, there would have been more time, I think. And maybe the Browns even get closer, and then who knows what happens at that point.
Well, I think what screwed them, I think it was on that third play. Instead of getting a first down, it was 3rd and inches. So I think they felt the pressure to just get that first down. But it's just the fact of the matter. Like, they need to be more aggressive, and you just have to trade, like maybe just throw the ball. I don't know, like just throw the ball away, instead of taking a 5-yard play that that eats up 25 seconds. Like, I don't know. It's tough to criticize like the ins and outs, because we don't know like who and what was open. But it just the sense of urgency, I think, is that's what really killed the Browns. Because, man, I was feeling kind of good. Like, okay, you get the ball back, you got 90 seconds. Like let's go, let's win this game. And some of like just a sense of urgency. That's what irks me. That they're so good. Like 2-minute drill at halftime. Like, how many times have they scored throughout Stefanski's tenure? Like all the time they score. And I don't know. It's annoying. And, you never know like what, again, the ins and outs and the coverages were and who was open. But just, God damn it.
For sure. Before we get to the defensive struggles, we got to talk about Baker, because he was the main topic of conversation all last week. After a poor performance against the Vikings, you had the national media dissecting, the shoulder injury, how could it affect his throwing. There was the talk about, is Odell and Baker just never going to work? I mean, the fact that Jake Burns got to make a guest spot on Dan Lebertard to talk about that was amazing. First of all, shout out to Jake for that. That was awesome. But, so many topics of conversation regarding Baker Mayfield. And, it was a big game, and sometimes he's hot and cold in these big games, nationally televised games. And, today he bounced back with a strong performance. I think Baker, it was one of his better games. Hopefully this starts a trend where he just keeps having good game after good game. But 23 of 32 for 306 yards, 2 touchdown passes, no turnovers, only took 1 sack, and his QBR was 122.5. Just a great game. I thought he was accurate. He spread the ball around. He was able to get it to everybody today. It wasn't just like, oh, I need to focus on Odell. Like, if the guy was open, he was getting them the ball. It was great to see Baker bounce back, because, he took the criticism hard. He said he was going to play better. He put his little social media post out, talking about like how much adversity he's overcome, and he backed it up with a strong performance. And it was great to see after such a piss poor performance, which, he even said that himself last week against Minnesota. Yeah.
I mean, he played awesome. I mean, that's the Baker Mayfield that, we want, and, we expect game in and game out. So, I mean, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. I mean, you score 42 points and you lose. That's really all I gotta say. It's just a deep sigh.
I mean, just to put it into perspective, because Jake Trotter tweeted it out, the Browns unfortunately became the first team in NFL history today. Hold on, having a brain fart here for a minute. First team in NFL history, including the playoffs, to lose when scoring 40 plus points with 500 yards of offense, and 0 turnovers. Which goes to the next topic, Kay. It was not the offense that lost today, because the Browns had a 2 touchdown lead at one point. The defense, which had injuries today. We will discuss that. They had a lot of injuries today. They also had a lot of miscommunication and poor performance today because they gave up over 500 yards themselves. But credit where credit's due. The Chargers offense is really freaking good. Okay, 493 yards of offense they gave up to the Chargers, which the Chargers are really good. Justin Herbert is becoming one of the top quarterbacks in the league. But the defense, which was lights out the last 2 weeks against Chicago and Minnesota combined, shit the bed today. And, you know, we talked about it. You mentioned the miscommunications going back to last year, the safeties. I don't know what's going on there. It goes on the coaching. It goes on the players as well, because Ronnie Harrison and John Johnson did not play well today. This defense has so much talent, and they showed their potential the last 2 weeks, and then they go right back to giving up big plays and just looking like deers in the headlights at some points in the game. And it's frustrating because you see the talent on the field and you expect so much better.
Yeah, I mean, you paid all this money for, John Johnson. You went out and got Ronnie Harrison. And I mean, these are veteran guys, right? Like, these aren't rookies. These are guys who've been around the block. Ronnie Harrison knows this defense. John Johnson, I mean, if the talk was, hey, he should be the signal caller, well, then, I'd expect him to maybe know the plays. And, I just don't understand this defense, man. You go out last week and you do your thing against a top 5 offense in Minnesota, right?
Right.
And then you that first half, they only gave up 13 points, right? Like, and then the second half, you just completely you're awful. You can't get off the field. The Chargers had what? I think it was like a 4th and 3 they converted, and then like a 4th and 8. You can't have that. This is the same problems that we had last year, and I don't care. I'm tired of the excuses of like, well, we had certain players playing. Denzel Ward was out and all that stuff. I don't care anymore. Like, it's like Troy Hill. He shouldn't like that one. Like, I think the 4th and 8 to Keenan Allen was against Troy Hill. I'm just flabbergasted that they just continue to allow 4th down conversions and 3rd and long conversions, and it's 3rd and long, it's 3rd and 8, and then they get 6 or 7 so to then set up 4th and 1, and of course they're going to go for it. Like, of course the Chargers went for it 4th and 2 right after halftime. Like, I believe it was their first possession, because the Browns score, or I can't remember like the actual like what actually happened, but Eckler, it's like 4th and 2, and Eckler like has like a 5-yard rush, and it's just like, they're like, oh, he's going for it. It's like, of course, like you're down 2 touchdowns against a team you're not stopping. So why doesn't Coach Stefanski, again, they're both of this, analytical mind, why are they both, why are they kind of so different when it comes to like certain things like that? Why does Brandon Staley, why is he going out there playing to win and Kevin Stefanski is going out there playing to lose? I don't really understand it. And like I said, the defense, I'm fucking tired of Joe Woods. I don't care. It's too much. It's too much. This is what, 22 games with Joe Woods as defensive coordinator. Like, are you impressed, Jack? Are you impressed by Joe Woods?
I will say the last couple of weeks, made me turn around on him. I thought he was pressuring more. Not to say that they weren't pressuring today, because they did hit Herbert 8 times, but it didn't see. And this was even with 4-man fronts. They were still getting pressure. They were still getting after him. Granted, Herbert's more mobile than Kirk Cousins, but it was just like, they couldn't haul it in. Like, there was a time Miles slipped and he could have had a sack. He did have a sack today, but I think he could have had a couple. But they just, I don't know what they were doing in the line among the linebackers, because when Herbert was able to run, he just got open space, and he was able, and even like the little outs to Eckler or to, I think it's Justin Jackson was the other running back.
Yeah.
But it's just like, where were the linebackers?
Or the killer, you punt the ball back to the first play, RPO to Jared Cook for 30-something yards.
Like, where was the linebackers on that play? Like,
what are we doing?
Yeah, like Malcolm Smith, I did not see him at all today. It was like Walker came back and it was like, okay, Malcolm Smith, we're not going to play you. Like, I like Taki, but in the situations where you have a good quarterback like Justin Herbert, I would rather see Malcolm Smith in those instances and JOK and Walker because they are better in coverage. Hell, even though he can't tackle worth a shit, put Mac Wilson out there because that's his strongest attribute is his coverage skills. Like, I like Sione Taki. He's a better run defender than he is a coverage guy. In passing situations, I don't want to see him out on the field. No. Like, I know there was injuries in the secondary, but you had these linebackers that are solid in coverage. Utilize them more. Like,
what I also the other thing I don't really understand is I believe the Browns got killed twice on screens to Eckler.
Yeah.
The one was early on in the first half, maybe it was like even the first quarter, where it was like Mac Wilson pushed him in or something. I don't know. I was paying attention, and then like the DawgLand group chat just started like roasting Mac Wilson or something. I kind of missed it. I didn't really know what happened, but
we're not allowed to mention him by name anymore.
Oh yeah, 51. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've been, hey, look, for a year now, I called him. What did I call it? I called him a plain toaster strudel. Like, there's no value in it. Like, he's the guy, he's the last toaster strudel, but you don't have that icing because you used one earlier. Like, you used like 2 on 1, and now you gotta, like, pay the piper, so to speak. Like I said that my first episode of my podcast, I said that he was trash. I would look, everybody wants to take credit about hating Mac Wilson. I was number one. I called him the most overrated 5th round pick in Browns history. And, I got hate for that. And now look, right. So anyway, enough of 51, but you're only pressuring 4 guys throughout the entire game. Rarely does Joe Woods, it seems like, ever blitz, right? I mean, yet you have, okay, math, what? 7 guys in coverage on screenplays, and you let that happen twice?
Yeah.
So it's not just 2 screenplays. So it is 2 screenplays and 2 fucking deep bombs to Mike Williams, same play, wide open. Hello. Like, what are we doing? What is he doing? I'm very confused. I don't understand it at all.
Right. I mean, they got torched today. I mean, there is no excuse making for this defensive performance, but at the same time, there was injuries. There was plenty of injuries. We come into the game, no Jedrick Wills. He gets rolled out yesterday. Clowney gets rolled out before the game. We already knew Greg Newsome wasn't playing, and Jarvis Landry wasn't going to play, which that's offensive injury, but still. And then during the game, Denzel Ward, neck injury. He left the game early. Greedy Williams gets hurt, and I'm pretty sure it's the same shoulder.
Yep.
That had the nerve damage. So, and maybe it was just a moment of like Greedy was concerned that it was, something.
But that was late in the game too.
And that was late in the game too. But I mean, yeah. And then you lose Jack Conklin. So you're in a situation where Blake Hance is already going at left tackle, and you have to put James Hudson in. And then Malik McDowell, who had a pretty good game, he gets hurt as well. So the injuries just piled up, and it's not excuse making, but when you're missing 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive starters, you're missing both of your tackles. I mean, stuff piled up, and I think the defense was also pretty winded because they gave up 34 points in the second half. I mean, you don't want to make excuses because it was such a poor performance, but the fact that guys just kept going down like almost every drive, I mean, it added up, and I think it really caught up with the defense, especially in that second half.
But it sucks too, though. The time of possession, the Browns had the ball for 13
Exactly.
minutes.
That's the other thing that gets me, though, is because it seemed like the Chargers had the ball plenty in that second half, obviously scoring 34 points. But yes, the Browns won the time of possession by over 13 minutes. So it's like you want to try to make some excuses for the defense, but at the same time, we won the time of possession. We had more yards. And I mean, I don't know how to explain how we lost this game, but we lost this game, and it goes back to the defense, unfortunately.
Yeah. And you can look at, the defense of red zone, Browns 3 of 6.
Got to be better than that.
Chargers 4 of 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's That's it right there. And it comes down to, like I said, defense. I mean, your offense is fine. When you score 42 points, you should win that game. When you play perfect football, when you don't turn the ball over, you should win that game. I'm just kind of dumb. When you have 500 fucking yards of offense, you should win that game.
Yep. But also at the same time, combined third and fourth down efficiencies for both teams. Browns, 5 of 15. Chargers, 9 of 16. The Chargers were better today.
Yep.
Especially on the money downs. Yeah.
Yep.
3 and 3. Browns were 1 of 3. I mean, it's just.
And see, that's where I just I get so angry about Joe Woods, because it's the same thing that happened last year. Last year, teams were like, I'm trying to remember this correctly, but it was like 27 of like 33 against the Browns on fourth down. I think I saw a stat that teams were perfect on fourth down in the fourth quarter against the Browns last year.
Yikes.
I don't care who's on the like, we've seen shitty Browns defenses get random stops throughout our fandom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now you have good players. You have, a Myles Garrett, and obviously he's getting held every fucking play and chipped every play. I mean, you're watching that. I mean, there was the 33-yard pass to Keenan Allen to the sideline, and I mean, they're literally showing Justin Herbert roll out to the right, and it's Slater just like tackling Myles Garrett, and you're just like, oh no, we're not gonna call that. Oh, yeah. we're gonna call holding on JC Treader when he literally has a hand to his throat. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like, I don't understand it. I don't understand these refs. I don't understand the defensive play calling. I don't understand why Kevin Stefanski is aggressive for, was it 58 minutes of the game, and then the last 2 minutes you're oh my god.
Oh, that's frustrating.
You just go into a shell. You go into a shell.
I always wonder, like, with the defensive play calling, because Joe Woods was a position coach in San Fran. I just wonder if, and I don't know if this would really help, but I wonder if him seeing it from up in the press box would be a better thing for him. I'm not trying to make excuses for him or trying to come up with something, but they did this with Ohio State with Kerry Combs. And the defense has taken off the last few weeks since the Oregon game.
He's not playing. He's not calling the plays, though.
Oh, he's not calling the plays anymore. That's true.
I don't think so.
But I just wonder, would being in the box help? Because you're able to see things better. I'm not trying to make excuses for Joe Woods. I want him to be the defensive coordinator here because I want it to work out. But like, I just wonder if they change something up, if that would help. But then again, it's just one game. They could come back next week against Arizona and just dominate again. Do I see that? Not really, because Arizona's got a pretty damn good offense, although they did get shut down today. I don't know. I'm just thinking if something changed on that side of the ball, would things get better? I don't know. It was just
I don't think Joe Woods, because he was the defensive coordinator in Denver with
oh, that's right.
Joseph,
he was
when he was head coach, and obviously Joseph was like a defensive minded guy. So I don't know specifically who was calling the plays, but
right.
I mean, he was. I'm 90% sure. Like, I saw a video of like Joe Woods on the field when he was defensive coordinator for Denver.
And as far as I know, like, all the defensive coordinators they're on the sideline. They're like, as far as I know, usually, like none of yeah. So we talked about Chubb and Hunt, and there's always this argument on Twitter, and one of our buddies, LaShawn, likes to try to stir it up from now and then. Who's better? Like, who's better? Is Chubb better? Is Hunt better? Like, can we just appreciate that we have two elite freaking running backs, and they are just both dominating the opposing defenses, regardless of who gets the ball more, regardless of who's scoring more touchdowns? Like, combined today, they had, let me bring this up real quick, make sure I do the math, 33 carries, 222 yards, and 3 freaking touchdowns. They both scored over 20 fantasy points. So it's like, why can't we just appreciate both and just accept that Chubb and Hunt is a great duo? Neither one of them is looking for the recognition. They both want to win, but yet people want to try to start these silly little stupid debates that mean nothing in the long run, and just appreciate the greatness that we have in both of them.
Yeah. And I think really the only thing, again, you could criticize with their usage is just where they use certain players, like we
Exactly.
talked about, within the 5-yard line, Kareem Hunt all day. Like, just it's weird because Nick Chubb
He's the more power back, so you
he's
would
the
think
more
in the
power
goal,
back. You would think, yeah, but he's also like, he's like, just the way he runs, he's more elusive, where he needs like that momentum to like break tackles and like that, more area, more space. It seems like when Kareem Hunt is literally just a bowling ball when he gets the ball, which is why I just didn't understand. Okay, you're gonna run that first play, that's totally fine. I force the Chargers to use at least one timeout. I'm 1000% okay with that. It's just, why isn't Nick Chubb getting that carry right there? I don't understand. And at that point, like, I don't know, maybe throw a screen then, or maybe spread everybody out and then run a draw, or run an inside handoff to Kareem Hunt with the defense more spaced out. I didn't understand that. But they're both awesome. Like, it's insane that we have both these guys and they keep each other fresh. And that's why it's frustrating when, talking about this game. It's just like, we had that game, every, like, you go down the checklist of like, how do you win a game? And what's the perfect Browns victory for this team? Baker plays mistake-free football. He did that. He throws for 300 yards. He did that. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, over 200 yards. Yes. Multiple touchdowns by them. Yes. You did everything you wanted offensively, except like the last 2 minutes where you just fucked up. I don't understand it.
Right. Just on a side note, as we're recording, media is reporting that JOK had to be taken to a local hospital in Los Angeles with a throat contusion. So prayers up to JOK, and hopefully he's okay, because he has been a star on this defense so far for the first few
I've
weeks.
never heard that until just now.
Today, Burrow and JOK both.
What?
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Insane.
But yeah, hopefully they're both okay, because Joe Burrow he's becoming a superstar in the making too for Cincinnati. They would only freaking invest in an offensive line for that kid. But hopefully he's okay, and hopefully JOK is okay as well.
I have a question. I have one question.
Okay.
I hate to bring it up.
Go ahead.
Odell.
Okay.
2 catches.
Let's talk about
3 targets.
This is my only gripe with him today, though, because I thought that okay, we're gonna have an honest conversation actually here.
All right, let's do it.
When he was on the field, besides the Higgins touchdown, that was the drop pissed me off to no degree, because it hit him in the chest, and Odell's supposed to be one of the greatest receivers of this generation. You don't let a ball like that hit you square in the chest and you drop it. But
if he catches it, he turns upfield and it's a touchdown.
Yes, or very close to it. They used him well as a decoy today, but I don't know. Like, I only noticed it a few times, but when he wasn't on the field, the Browns offense was moving quite smoothly today.
Yep.
They spread it out to everybody. Higgins got the ball, 3 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown. Peoples-Jones had a stellar game, 5 catches, 70 yards. And our next guy I'm going to get to, but before we focus on him, let's talk about OBJ. I don't know if him and Baker are just trying to make it work so hard and it's not going to work. But I get the feeling, and the numbers back it up, and I don't want this to be the case, but it just seems like when he's not on the field, now I don't know how many snaps he played today. We'll find that out tomorrow or Monday morning. I don't know if it's Baker feels like he has to get him the ball when he's out on the field, but it seemed like he wasn't on the field a lot today, and the Browns offense moved smoother. Like, I don't want that to be the case, but kind of would seem like it felt that way watching the game a lot today.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like the whole fact of, hey, you ran the ball 33 times with Chubb and Hunt. So, there's only so much like decoy. You don't want Odell 3 games after an ACL injury blocking to the extent, like he would if he was fully healthy, right? And if you need a decoy, like maybe Schwartz is that guy, maybe DPJ is that guy, but I don't understand it. It's a weird thing. you didn't even target him like those last two possessions.
Right.
You would think you would try to go after your guy, maybe just force one, you know what I mean? Like if he forces it, we go. It just continues the narrative of like Baker's forcing it, right? But then at the same time, you could just go, he's trying to look for his best receiver. Like you can't blame him for that. Like you're down
Right.
5, with 90 seconds. It's weird. I don't understand it either, which is why I was asking you.
Yeah, I can't explain it. Like I know people who can explain it much better than I could, but and that they obviously watch the tape, but like I just don't understand how it's not working. And then Baker, like one play, Odell's open, he doesn't see him, and then the next play he'll like try to force it to him, and then the play just gets blown up, whether it's a sack or just tries to throw it to someone else that's being covered. Like I don't get the issue there. And I hope they don't have to decide, like if they have to decide between Odell and Baker, then I just think that's going to be a disaster. And I think both of them want to make it work. Like I can't explain it. Like I talk about this at work with people, and like I just don't know how to explain it because I don't understand how it's not working. Because I think Baker's talented, Odell's obviously talented. He speaks for himself with what he's done throughout his career. It's like, why can't they just mesh? It's kind of like, I don't know if it's like LeBron and Kyrie because it did mesh, obviously, but there was also those instances where it didn't look like it was going to mesh.
Yeah, it was like the no assist game of like Kyrie's, like I think it was LeBron and Kyrie's like first year, where it's like a big thing where Kyrie went for like 28 but no assist, and he's like the point guard or something.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
But here's the thing: he was
Yeah,
targeted 3 times, and he should have had 3 catches and potentially a touchdown.
yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day,
I don't understand. I don't understand it. 4th and 2, you have a drag route right in front of you. You're a little late on it. Because he was looking for a hunt like out of the backfield, but he went to his second read. Odell's right there, wide open, and he just drops the ball.
oh yeah,
It was because I mean you could say that was a turning point, right? It's 4th and 2 at like the 11-yard line or whatever. You score on that.
Was that the second quarter, first quarter? I don't remember.
No, it was the first quarter.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was like the first quarter, first or second. I mean, it was like the second drive. Yeah, I think it was the second drive of the game because they went and they got the field goal or whatever. So
yeah, I don't understand that at all. But I'm glad you brought up Anthony Schwartz real quick before we get to who I thought was probably the best offensive player of the day outside of Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, obviously. Anthony Schwartz. I swear this is like the 3rd or 4th instance where they target him on a play. He's going deep and he lets up. And it's like, dude, you have Olympic speed. Baker's getting you the ball. Just run. Just use that freaking speed. Utilize your strongest asset and just run and go get the ball. Like, he's done it a couple times. One was an interception. One was a drop. I think it was a drop or just a miss he barely missed the ball. And then today, like he let up and the ball was there and he could have went in for a touchdown. And the dude just lets up. Like, I don't know if he's not getting, like, I'm hoping Chad O'Shea, the wide receiver coach, is chewing him out on these things. But it's like he had a breakout first game and then he just keeps taking steps back. And it's like, hopefully these things, A, he's recognizing it and trying to correct it, but B, hopefully it's humbling him because, you're not just getting into the league based on your speed. You're getting it on your whole assets and of talent. And you just need to put it all together. And I'm sure he will. He's still a rookie. Like rookies are going to make mistakes, but just stuff like that, like don't let up on plays like that. Like utilize all your attributes and you would have like 3 or 4 touchdowns at this point this season. But I don't know. It's little stuff like that just really irks me. But at the same time, I understand he's a rookie and he could be so much better than that.
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things where, you see, the inexperience, not just as, an NFL player, but just as an actual wide receiver, because the way Auburn used him was a lot of like just to get him the ball in space and
just little gadget plays, like
and now what sucks is like that play, it's right there. Just keep running.
Yeah.
Catch the ball, and it's a big game. And ultimately, I can't remember if they scored or not on that play, but I mean, it's those little momentum plays that could change the entire outcome of like that game. Or but it's just like, come on, man. Like, you're a receiver. Why are you giving up? That's what, basically twice now he's given up on routes.
It's like 3 or 4.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It sucks. It sucks because we went into this year with like, hey, we get Odell back, we get Anthony Schwartz, who's just we get our speed demons after going all of or half of the year last year with nobody who could take the top off of defense. Now we have both those guys, and like we don't use them
right
like that. It's just annoying.
Yeah, that was 3rd and 20 because that was the drive where Treader got the holding call.
Oh,
shouldn't have been a holding call.
Yeah,
he gets that play.
That's late. That's fourth quarter then.
Early fourth quarter. This was before the pass interference call on Williams, or on us by Mike Williams. But he catches that, and it's a big play. A, extends the drive. B, we could take a 2-touchdown lead at that point. Like, that's another game altering play. Like, if Schwartz doesn't let up and catches that ball and either takes it to a touchdown or extends the drive, like, who knows what happens at that point. So it's just another one of those what if moments from this game.
I'm just so fucking aggravated still. I mean, the game was over an hour ago, and I'm still like heated. Like, it's I mean, it's been nice like talking through stuff with you.
Yes.
And I feel a little bit better.
Yes.
But then, you bring up something like that, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man.
Yep.
Like ultimately, does this adjust the path of like the Browns and how good they're going to be? No. But it's just annoying in the moment. And it's just like one of those games where it's like, you want to win those games, man. That's 2 games now. You're up multiple possessions and you've given it away. Week 1, you're up multiple possessions against Kansas City. And then at halftime, like you're up 14.
Yeah.
And it's just so annoying.
2 games against 2 really good teams.
Like, it was so big getting that Austin Eckler fumble, because you were able to get points right before the end of the half. You were able to get that field goal. Yep. And then you just, I don't know.
And then they scored on the opening drive coming out of half, because that was the Nick Chubb touchdown run. Yeah, I mean, this is a narrative that's going to continue to build. Okay, and this goes back to last season. The Browns aren't beating good teams. They have beat good teams, but they had a chance to beat Kansas City in the divisional round, didn't. Well, granted, they were down 19-3. They lost week 1 to Kansas City. Again,
Yep.
They beat 3 bad teams in Houston, Minnesota, Chicago, although I don't really count Minnesota as a bad team. And then this week, they lost to a good team again. It's like they can't beat good teams. That narrative is going to continue to grow, that, A, the Browns can't beat good teams. B, Baker Mayfield can't beat good teams. And that's always going to be like, well, can we really call the Browns a good team? This is what the media narrative is going to become. Can we call the Browns a good team when they can't beat good teams? Like, that's something that they need to get the monkey off their back. Next week against Arizona would be a good thing, good statement win for the Browns. They could come back home and beat the Cardinals, who are, I think, 4-1 at this point. So, I mean,
Did they lose against San Francisco, or did they win?
I believe
then that means
did.
They're 5-0 if they won.
Oh, they did win. So they are 5-0.
Well, they're 5-0.
This would be the ultimate proving point next week against Arizona, undefeated team, hottest team in the league right now. You get the monkey off your back that you can beat a good team, and that would prove a lot. And I'm sure Baker will want to do it because A, it's against Kyler Murray, the guy that took his spot at Oklahoma. B, against Cliff Kingsbury, which we all know that story well, and they're undefeeted. And if they could beat a good team, that would really take the monkey off the Browns' back and prove that they are one of the top teams in the league.
It's 100%. I mean, you need one of these games either against the Chargers or against Arizona. Going into this year, I thought, hey, I felt like Arizona was like the 2019 Browns, where they have all this talent, and it's like, can they get it all together? Can they mesh? And so far, so good. They're 5-0. Maybe they should be 1-4 or not 4-1. Maybe they should be 3-2. You know, with the Greg Joseph missed field goal, who knows, right? Maybe if Trey Lance doesn't play this game today against the when they go up against the 49ers, maybe they lose that game. Who knows, right? But it's just like the fact of like you need this game. You need this game now more than ever, because this is just like you could chalk up like, oh, this is a second game of back-to-back weeks. You're traveling across the country, all that stuff. Now it's like, hey, they're coming to you. Yes, it's a 4:00 game, or 4:30 game or whatever. So it's it'll be like their time, quote unquote. But they're still traveling from Arizona to Cleveland. Again, we don't know what the weather's going to be like. It changes on a daily here.
Yes.
So maybe it's going to be cold and rainy and Kyler can't do his thing. But at the same time, like they're also 5-0. So if you're a good team, like you said, win those games.
Amen. Let's end the podcast on a positive note. David freaking Njoku had his finally big breakout performance. He had a strong first quarter. Baker was targeting him often. I think he had like 3 catches and like 60 yards in the first quarter, but the big touchdown late in the fourth quarter, Baker finds him in the middle of the field. And then Njoku, who's not really known for his speed, was able to run away from the defenders for a 71-yard touchdown. And, we've been talking since they drafted him in 2017 that he, had the physical tools to be a great tight end. And sometimes the tight end position just takes a while to develop. And, he had a great game week 1 against Kansas City and then disappeared, but he reemerged today and had a monster performance. Obviously was the Browns leading receiver, but you just hope, because I feel like the perception around the Browns fan base is everybody wants him to be the number 1 tight end, not just this season, but going into the future, and they obviously would move on from Austin Hooper in that aspect, but hopefully this is the sign for Njoku where, he's finally realizing his talent. The Browns are finally utilizing his talent, and where it all will come together. And he's finally going to be the Browns' number 1 tight end that they hoped he would be 4 years ago when they drafted him.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice to see. I thought he was going to get caught right at the end because he started slowing up a little bit. And I was like, just hold on to the ball. Like,
right.
Don't have it popped out right at the end, or against, what was it, Cincinnati in 2018, where he got caught at the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
When they iced the game. So I was like, all right, like just hold on to the ball if you get caught. Yeah, it's nice to see, right? It's nice to see, another draft pick like finally develop into something. And I guess this is the issue with the Browns offense, or not really an issue. I guess issue if like you're a fantasy player, right?
Right.
I thought about I needed a tight end. I thought about picking up Njoku, but I was like, they have 3 guys. They have 3 guys who can easily get the ball from the tight end position. And today just so happened to be Njoku's day. And I think, going forward, I would love for him to be our number 1 guy. And, maybe you could move on from Austin Hooper. The amount of 2 tight end sets they run anyway, it's fine if you pay both those guys. But it's just like, yes, I agree. It was nice to see David Njoku finally like break out and have a stellar game. Again, we oh man. See, this is why I'm angry, right? We should be talking about a win right now. We should be so excited that Baker threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that like he redeemed himself from last week and proved the haters wrong. And last week was just an anomaly. And we should talk about how, even though, the Browns were down their left tackle and they lost their right tackle in the middle of the game, they were still able to run the ball and
put up over 500 yards and 40
500
points.
yards. Yeah. Even though Odell only had 2 catches, like, Baker wasn't forcing him the ball. Like the 1 non-catch from his target was on Odell. We should be talking about David Njoku having 7 catches and 150 yards or whatever it was, 130 yards. Like we should be talking about that, but instead we're sitting here angry and upset over
play calling, officials, and defensive play.
And defensive play. Yep.
Yeah.
It feels like a game from last year, honestly. This is the game from last year. This was our worst nightmare, right? This was all last year. We were able to score all these points, which is why, like, after my reaction to last week's game was, you know what? Baker played bad. It sucks, but you still won. Like the amount of games the offense won last year for you and the defense didn't do shit. They owed you from all of last year. And obviously there's only a handful of guys that are still on the roster from last year, but I'm more talking about like the coaching staff. Like they went out and won that game for you last week. This game, you do everything right, but it still wasn't enough. And that's what irks me. And that's what honestly like makes me angry. And it makes me truly question Joe Woods just going forward. Like I can't give him the benefit of the doubt anymore. Like, I'm sorry. Like
that's fair.
Against Chicago, like it was a rookie quarterback, and Nagy was just awful that game. Off rip.
Yep.
Right. Like they didn't do anything to put Justin Fields in a position to win those games. And now look at them. They've won 2 straight games. It's like, oh, maybe once you like use Justin Fields in ways that are, conducive of him like playing, like playing to his strengths and stuff like that, you could win with him. So maybe that game's a better game to win because they're 3-2 right now. I don't know.
Right.
But then last week, you went and like I said, you shut down a top 5 offense, running the ball and passing ball. And yes, Dalvin Cook was banged up, but Alexander Madison is a stud and is like a Dalvin Cook 2.0 anyway. Yeah. So it's just, man, this game, man, I'm just
it's frustrating because we talked about some positive stuff and it was just like
everything should be positives against today. Like, yeah, even with the defense, you just go, it was a shootout. Fucking way she goes, right?
But there was even positives on the defensive end. Like, Denzel Ward goes down. I thought AJ Green played a decent game. Solid. Greedy played another solid game. Like, hopefully the injury isn't serious. Like, I mean, there was positives to take away. Like, we didn't talk about Malik McDowell and like there was stuff to talk about, but at the end of the day, the defense gave up.
It just gets overshadowed by giving up 47 points,
34 points in the second half. Like it was just bad.
That's insane. Yeah. That's so bad in a game that you were winning
right
by 2 touchdowns. How do you let that happen? I don't understand.
I can't wait for Jake Burns to break down like what happened.
Oh, it's gonna be something.
Yeah, it's just, it was a good therapeutic session though, because we aired out like what was wrong and just like what was. Oh man, I hope next week's better because it's my first Browns game I'm going to, and I don't want to be disappointed.
Oh my goodness! Oh, the anxiety of that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun though. I'm gonna have a good time.
Oh yeah.
But okay, this was a fun time as well. I always appreciate when you hop on the pod. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
And you're always welcome on the pod whenever you want. We appreciate it. Go ahead and plug Crunch Time with Katelin because I'm sure you got something coming out about this game as well.
Yeah, like literally right where we end this call, I'm just gonna
you're gonna go rant again for a little while.
Yeah. It might not be like the top level that I thought it was gonna be, but like because you've kind of cooled me down and it was very therapeutic. But I trust me, all I gotta do is look at the stats again and get completely angry again. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Katelin NoCLE. That's Katelin KATLAN Nose KNOWSCLE. 2 podcasts, Crunch Time with Katelin and Lead Off Talk. Scheduling differences with the baseball podcast has been kind of tough. But with playoff baseball, if you're interested in baseball and baseball talk and off-season talk, check that out. But yeah, more Brown stuff and NFL stuff. Crunch Time with Katelin is where you can find me, and it's all linked in my Twitter. So.
For sure. And just one more final note before we get on out. Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward, Jack Conklin, and MJ Stewart will all undergo MRI. So keep fingers crossed as we will find out. I'm sure all that stuff on Monday.
Robert Jackson again?
Ugh.
No.
Please, God, no. But stay on the lookout later this week for another episode. We might do a couple depending on how these injury news might go. But we will be back later this week to preview the Cardinals. Have a guest lined up. So stay tuned for that later on in the week. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JackMcCurry08 and check out the DawgLand on Facebook and Twitter. Just search the DawgLand. You'll find it there. Give us a like, a follow, whatever. If you listen to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, share, subscribe, We appreciate you all for listening as always. And until next time, win or loss, we will be back. And as always, go Browns.